Glitch FPV.
Hello everybody, Glitch here. I'm not going to do my typical flight video today. Just under certain circumstances that I've realized lately. As you all know, in my past couple videos, you've probably seen that I've had some issues with my quad lately. You know, typical issues. I've just had a really bad string of bad luck. But that's not what this video is about. This video is more about, you know, this hobby and basically learning to trust people. And, you know, it goes with anything in daily life. You make new friends and, you know, you build on trust. And some of those friends end up to be very good friends. And sometimes you just don't see the pure evil that some people might have in them. And that's kind of my issue. I've been in this hobby for about 8 months. And just to kind of give you a background of how I got into the hobby. When I first got into the hobby, basically, just like anyone else, you know, I started watching flight videos on YouTube, and, you know, I thought this is really cool. You know, I'd like to do something like that. I've always been kind of into photography and, you know, fidgeting around with, you know, I should say tinkering more, not really fidgeting, but tinkering with stuff. I'm into vaping. I actually own my own e-liquid company. But anyway, to get back onto what I'm talking about. When I first got into the hobby, I didn't know anything about it. I knew nothing. I didn't really know anybody who was into it. And very early this year, I decided to buy a Mavic. So I got the Mavic Pro. And I didn't know anyone else that even owned a drone. And I flew that thing around for a while, and, you know, I thought it was really cool, got some great shots. And then I found a local drone club. You've probably seen in plenty of my videos. And started hanging out there. And that's where I got exposed to two guys that I met. And they seemed pretty cool. They were into the racing drones, and I got to see, you know, I got my first, like, up close and personal look of, you know, racing drones and the sound, and, you know, looking into the goggles, and it just hit me. At that time, I had just bought what I considered to be a racing drone. It was actually a Rodeo 150, which, you know, basically to me now is kind of a toy grade. It was a beginner style, but I could not fly it for anything. I really couldn't. I'd get it up in the air. I was scared to use the goggles. I was flying line of sight, but it seemed like every time I took it up, I mean, I just, you know, crashed into the ground. Also didn't realize I was an acro. But, so I met these two guys, and they were really cool. And they offered to help me get started with my own racing drone, and one of them offered to build one for me. And so now that I knew that I was getting one built for me, I decided I needed to get a radio, you know, a decent radio. So I did what most people would do if, you know, the money was right. I just happened to have the money. Okay, well, I'm going to go get, you know, the Taranis X9D Plus. And, you know, I bought one. And when it was time for me to pick up my newly built drone, it wasn't new. It was actually built out of all old parts. I mean, the guy sold it to me for $100. I couldn't complain. So anyway, I picked it up, and I remember the first day I went over to the guy's house, and we were plugging it in for the first time, and one of the ESCs immediately smoked out. And I was like, you know, oh man, you know, am I going to have to wait, you know, another week, or what's going to happen? And he told me, he said, hey, this is no big deal. I've got a spare. I'm going to put it on there. I'll just wire it up tonight. No big deal. And I remember asking him, well, what do I do with the radio? Because I don't know how to hook the radio up to the drone. And So I offered to leave it at his house overnight and pick it up the next day, which he said, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, to get back to where I'm at today. Today, 8 months later, I decided to update my my Taranis X9D Plus, and I had some firmware issues when I updated. When I went into the companion, I was updating to 2.2. Went into companion, the TX companion. Went to update it. I selected Taranis X9D Plus in the settings, and it bricked. It bricked my Taranis. I was in the Rocket chat for the TX group. I was asking some of the guys in there. There's a lot of legit guys in there that know what they're talking about. And they said, yeah, you picked the wrong radio when you updated the firmware. Well, anyway, come to find out, somehow, I'll just put it this way. When it kept bricking it, well, it was bricked. I decided just for shits and giggles to update to the wrong firmware purposely. So I updated to Taranis, the non-plus version, and then it unbricked my Taranis. I think you see what I'm getting at here. Basically what happened was the guy I left my radio with, I thought I could trust him, and what he did is he actually opened up his radio, a non-plus, and my radio, the plus, and swapped out the guts without telling me. Set my radio up. He bound it to my new drone that he had built me, and continued to pretend to be my friend. I looked up to this guy because he knew a lot about the hobby, and never would have put it past him to do something like this. I've got some photos that I'll show you to just basically show you exactly how I figured this out. This video is not about calling anybody out. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm not giving up any names because I'm past it. I'm 40 years old. I understand what it's like, making new friends, and sometimes people just, the truth comes out. And I think that's what happened here, is the truth came out. And that's what this video is about. I just, in this hobby, I've met a lot of people. I mean, a lot of good people. And, I've learned I would say 90 to 99% of everyone I've met has been really cool. Really helpful, willing to do anything to help someone out. And I see it all the time, If you got a spare part or, a set of props when, your buddy doesn't, you're out in the field flying, it's no big deal to, toss them a set of props, or, hey, my VTX isn't working, well, I've got a VTX I'm not using. They just throw it to you, or, I toss it to them. I've got friends like that. My one buddy, when I told you I met two guys at that drone club, the second guy has been legit from day one. He's been a good guy, and I think we've built a good friendship, and it's sad that not everyone's, like that in this hobby. But I'm making this video just to kind of let everyone know that, just be aware. Be aware of what's going on. I mean, there was no way for me to be aware until I decided to update my Taranis. Until I got enough knowledge and there was an update available, did I ever find out that this guy took the time to take our two Taranises apart and do what he did. So, anyway, I've had a lot of things happen. I broke an arm on my drone. I've blown out, I don't know, 2 or 3 ESCs. And the last ESC that burned up on me, I didn't know what was going on. I still don't know exactly why I was burning through ESCs. It wasn't like one right after the other, I was having VTX issues, some video signal issues. I think it was actually at the drone club. There's a lot of Mavics and Phantoms and Inspires flying around, and I think I was getting some video interference from those. I know it's strange because I know they're not on the typical 5.8, but I don't know what was going on. I know there were times that I was getting just a lot of static in my video. And the last flight that I had, well, it wasn't even called a flight, took it up about 30, 40 feet in the air and went straight back down because video went black. My flight controller went out. And so I'm now switched over from beta flight to race flight. This is my quad right now. I've got the Bolt 4-in-1 ESC in here and the new Revolt version 3 board. And we're ready to take this up. I did Maiden, and I cannot wait to check this out. Didn't realize how easy raceflight was to set up. I just never looked into raceflight. I've been with Betaflight since I started, so I didn't think about switching. It's not that I don't like Betaflight. I love Betaflight, but it's what this hobby's about: trying different things. Seeing what you like, and I'm sure I'll end up on Betaflight again. And it's I like raceflight. Well, I can't even say I like raceflight yet. I haven't even taken this thing up other than to maiden it. And the maiden, I just took it for a hover in the backyard. But in the midst of it all, I have another buddy, a guy I just met. I shouldn't say he's my buddy, but I think I can trust this guy. Friends of mine have even told me he's a really good guy. I got him repairing my Taranis right now. Doing some things with the firmware to make sure everything is smooth, because now I don't have the Plus, I have the X9D. Didn't realize that that's what I had. But anyway, in the midst of it all, sorry about that, my video cut out. Basically what I was just saying was I couldn't wait to get my radio repaired, and so that's being repaired now. But in the midst of it all, I ended up buying the QX7, which I think is a great radio, and I can't wait to actually fly with it. I did take a couple. I have 2 whoops, and I took those up with it, and I did realize that the gimbals are really nice on this, because obviously because mine was an X9D, they'd probably been used. I know it's been passed between 2 guys before it ended up with me. Under the circumstances, they went down. But I noticed, wow, I can actually hover this better, and just the gimbals were a lot smoother. My flights were smoother. So I can't wait to actually take it up and actually fly this thing with it. So yeah. So let me just shorten this up a little bit, because this is a kind of long video. All I just want to say is, just be aware of your surroundings. And, for you young guys, don't just trust anybody. Don't trust anybody with your stuff. Most people are, I know most of you are really good about that. And, just getting into the hobby, you can't trust everyone. But I also don't want to say, like, I don't know. I don't want to push anybody away from the hobby, because this is one out of, a couple hundred people that I had an issue with, and, this happened to. The guy's not even in the hobby anymore, so we don't even have to worry about it with him. But, there's always one, or there's always people like that amongst us. We just have to be aware of our surroundings. Build trust with people before you decide to just trust them. And the hard part about trusting is you have to trust to trust. And it sounds crazy, but that's just the way it is. Like, I can't just trust someone without giving them some trust. The sad part is I trusted someone with a $200+ radio. So shame on me. But we all learn. This is a great hobby. I enjoy it. I love this hobby. I love everything about it. I love flying. I love building. basically this is my first true build that I've done myself. Didn't build it originally. And I can thank Vicious FPV for building this for me the first time. I just bought all the parts and he built it for me. But because I had to gut it out, take the flight controller out, take everything out, got a 4-in-1 ESC, got new motors. So basically I built it. And I'm pretty proud of that. It's my first true build that I've done myself. So, I'm learning. I'm getting used to the hobby, and I'm enjoying every minute of it, and I think you should too. Don't let this video scare you out of the hobby or anything like that. Basically, I just want everyone to be aware. When we open ourselves up to be vulnerable, things can happen. And I know I, for one, am very guilty of that. I just have this mentality of I trust everybody until they can't be trusted. And, so I've been burned a couple times, but I've also made some really good friends. And because I usually trust most people from the beginning, I make that first initial judgment. Usually I can tell someone by their character, whether they're a good person or not. But we can also be bad judges of that. And people can appear to be something they're not. So anyway, sorry for the rant and the long talk. I hope you guys got something out of this, and hopefully I don't ever have to make a video like this again. So with that, this is Glitch FPV. Keep on flying. Glitch out.